Well, hey, we're here with Matt Hammitt,
Yeah.
and just excited to talk about Dare to be a Dad. And Matt, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do this.
Yeah, so basically I started working alongside of Save the Storks in some capacity probably like 8 or 9 years ago. And just as an ambassador and believing in what the mission of what Storks was doing. And so there were two things happening at one time. I was kind of working alongside of Save the Storks in pretty informal ways, just advocating for what they did and with the mobile units. And over time, as I saw them begin to develop some of the partner programs, I was kind of inspired because I realized, okay, they're providing more obviously than just the mobile unit, right? All these different programs that they're helping these centers with. And I started noticing there's a big gap when I was speaking at pregnancy centers and these women's health clinics. I was like, okay, like I see all these resources that are in like their little library on the wall when you walk in, and I just never saw anything that looked inviting to me for dads.
Right.
It was like clinical information, very dry. No graphics that would really grab a young guy's attention, maybe not really any guy's attention, So I started thinking, like, what do we have here for dads? And when I started thinking about, some of these events I was doing at these centers and then some of the work I was doing alongside of Save the Storks, I thought, well, maybe there's an opportunity for us to actually partner here on this and provide materials for dads that would actually be something that guys might have a chance of wanting to pick up and wanting to go through. Right. A real hard appeal, right? Because we have a lot of things in the space, I think, that are informational, teaching guidebooks for whether it's parenting or motherhood, but there's not a lot of like man-to-man, heart-to-heart, face-to-face, just conversational style stuff that looks great.
Yeah. No, and you brought that out so well in those videos, and tell us a little bit about like who would be the best for this, like who should pick this up and take it on. Who would be that person?
Yeah. So the amazing thing that I've been telling so many people, even at churches or just people who work alongside of men that they think just need to be encouraged in any really realm. The amazing thing Storks has done is made this free on their website, for people. It's just out there. And so obviously the first person that it was written for was the dad who found out that his wife or girlfriend or the woman in his life is pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And okay, regardless of what that relationship looks like between him and that woman, how do I still step up and be a dad? How do I be a supportive father figure, not only to this child, but also to the mother? And how do I man up and step into this role that I've found myself in? So that's the first guy that we thought of. But what ended up happening was that we realized after it was written and after the video series was done, we were kind of like, you know what? This actually appeals to the heart of all men. All fathers, and not even just fathers. It appeals to the heart of men in general and who we are, the lies we hear, the lies we tell ourselves, the things we believe about ourselves, about God, about other people, about our ability to be good fathers, and so it really speaks to all those things going on in a guy's heart and life. And so I would say, yes, it's for the guy who's trying to figure out how do I be a dad, but it's also for any man who wants to be encouraged. And the greatest thing about it is it's just available on Save the Storks website. You can go watch the videos, download the PDF, and I think that is such a gift.
Yeah. And is it also available on the Bible app? Is that?
Yep. And also that was the other thing that we really thought was an integral part of what we wanted to do is not only do we have, the book and the 7 sessions in the book and the 7 videos, but at the end, the big challenge comes down to what are you building your life on? Yeah. And then so we can lead guys into the Bible app, Dare to be a Dad, YouVersion plan. And there they can get deeper scriptural wisdom that coincides with each section of the book.
Oh, that's great.
So,
yeah, tell me a little bit, as I went through it, I think it's very authentic, real. Yeah. It honestly is a refreshing approach
Cool.
Explain that a little bit on why you did that approach where it's real, that raw. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, partly that's my personality, man. I've seen I also seen just like what a gift it is when people are vulnerable with me. I connect with them so much more. So in everything I do, I'm sincerely trying to, whatever the work is in front of me, serve it in a vulnerable and honest way.
Yeah.
And I think that, I have thought a lot about just people who, gloss things over and try to make everything look perfect, right? Or just keep things like packaged so in such a tidy manner. Or you look at somebody's like Instagram highlight reel and it's just them at the beach and or them like living their best life. Yeah. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I don't feel closer to you because of that. Maybe I'm happy for you. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. It depends on the day. But I'm like, the thing that really connects me with somebody is when they show me the messy parts of their life. And so I think it was so important for me to take the approach of just, how do we show people the messy parts of life, be honest about our own struggles, just be authentic, speak in a real voice, heart to heart. It was super important, and use just hit relevant topics that guys are really dealing with, even though some of them are hard topics, even like sexuality, pornography, including those sorts of things. Talking to Joshua Broom on the video series, who is a former porn star. Now he's a pastor, and it's like, man, not be afraid to like get into that stuff. Yeah. One of the things that I think Diane, the CEO of Save the Storks, has been talking about is giving life a chance. And I think that's like such an awesome call for all of us. It's like, what can we do to give life a chance? And this book to me is like my piece to say, if we grab that father's heart, get that father's heart turned back to his child, we have the numbers that woman cares more about the voice of the father than she does anybody else in her life. And she still wants to hear from him. So you talk about giving life a chance, it's reaching the heart of the father.
Oh, that's so good and so powerful. If you were sitting in front of a dad, maybe right now, I am a dad,
yeah.
but if I was,
if you were in a crisis situation,
if I was in a crisis situation, really, what would you, maybe just a few words, how would you encourage them to take that step forward and be, to dare to be a dad?
You're crazy enough. I was just in an Uber with a guy who's going through a crisis with his family. Oh. And I mentioned I speak on family, and he was like, hey, could you help me with something? And it was hard because, I first I had to hear his story and sit with it. And, we can't fix everything right away. But the thing I really had to ask him was, what do you want to see happen, in your family? Like, do you want to see your family restored? Is your heart there? Have you already left in your heart, or are you not sure? I think it's the same thing with a dad who's trying to decide, like, where's my heart? First, you have to decide, like, where am I in this in my decision making? Like, is my heart where I want to step up and do the right thing as a man? And if your heart's not right, then your prayer just has to be, God, make my heart right. Because there's work that I can't do, right? The mysterious work of just people's messy stories and how God does or does not fix, or where he heals or when he heals. But I told him, I said, ultimately, man, if you want to see your family healed, like, just God can give you the wisdom if you ask him for it. And so we prayed in that car that God would touch his heart and help him just have a change in his life and in his heart, to have the desire to pursue, to have the desire to make things right. And then also understanding that you also have to have faith that if for some reason things don't work out the way you had hoped, that God in his own time and in his own way is still going to take the broken stories and he's still going to make something beautiful out of it somehow. Yeah. And so I think that's just the mystery and the tension that we live in, of like, we want to see every father step up, but sometimes there'll be seasons where fathers aren't ready to step up. And that doesn't mean that they won't, but just kind of walking with people. What I would encourage people who are out there who are maybe not that father who's struggling, but if you have a father in your life who is struggling, what I would say is just one of the biggest encouragements to them is just walk with people, love people, hold their stories, be there with them, because when the time comes that they're able to help, then they're there. And we need more mentors. So I would actually challenge, just not only the father to pray for wisdom and ask God to change their heart and give them the tools to step up, but also the men walking in who are fathers who aren't mentoring other men. The one thing I keep hearing from pregnancy centers is we don't have the men to mentor.
Wow. Okay.
So we've put this Dare to Be a Dad project together, and then they're saying, hey, we would love to do something like that, but we don't have the men to step up and lead. And so that would be, I think, just as much of a challenge for me as like, man, if you're out there and like you have a heart to see fathers grow, like be the one to step up and mentor somebody.
That's beautiful, man.